Good evening and welcome to our fourth edition of #Hertz-Lab. The title of today's show is Live Coding, Programming on the Fly. The show is dedicated to the emerging artistic practice of live coding, and it takes place within the framework of an EC-funded project which goes by the title On the Fly, Fostering Live Coding Practices Across Europe. This project is an international cooperation project led by Hangar Barcelona in cooperation between the ZKM, Creative Coding Utrecht, and the Ljudmila Art and Science Laboratory in Slovenia. Within the framework of the project, the Hertz-Lab works in an associated partnership with the Institute for Music Informatics and Musicology at Karlsruhe University of Music. And today we have two guests on the show who are affiliated with it. Patrick Borgeat is a prolific live coding artist, a creative coder, and artistic scientific staff at said institute. Jia Liu is a versatile composer, but also a live coding artist, and she is a master's degree student in music informatics. Hello, Jia. Hello, Patrick.
Hi.
Patrick, how would you describe what live coding is?
So I would describe live coding as a performance practice where computer music or any kind of algorithmic time-based media is performed on stage by the means of programming. So the step of like programming algorithms that then create music, sound, or video is not taking place in the studio, but it is like on the stage, an improvisation, and most importantly, it is in time. So basically, the coding itself, or the time of the coding, the time span of the coding, is also the performance time. So kind of everything comes together to this time span. Yes, and this is more or less for me live coding then.
Mm-hmm. So one can say that live coding is basically like coding algorithms which are a little bit like musical scores, or in this case, audiovisual scores, which are understandable by the computers and which are executed and performed in real time.
Yes, exactly. And a score, yes, but maybe more precise, it's just the steps of how the music or the sound is created. So you could also see it more as a cooking recipe, maybe. Like we are creating cooking recipes, that it's music recipes or visual recipes. We're writing them, and at the same time, the computer is the chef and is trying to realize the sound and the image.
That sounds very funny. And what do such performances look like then?
So generally, a live coding performance tries to be open about the process. So there is this this general like stage setup of a projected screen. So there is also in the Top Lab manifesto, which is this live coding organization, it also says, show us your screens. So we try to always give insight in our doings. Like, first of all, because we like open source, and we also want to communicate the ideas that we're actually like writing, because the algorithm is also often an idea or a concept that might be more clear actually in the code. But on the other hand, it also gives us a presence, because otherwise we would be just sitting on stage, sitting in front of a computer, like in this, like in worst case in a bad posture, and it would just look as if we would write emails to our parents or something like this. So the audience can the audience sees that we are doing something, but more importantly, the audience can really follow what we're doing.
And who does live coding? I mean, the two of you are already, I would say, hailing from two different artistic practices. While you are more of a creative coder, you have a programmer's background. Jia, for instance, is more hailing from a compositional background. So who does live coding?
Everybody. I guess everybody who is interested in finding new ways of how technology can open up new possibilities in their audio or visual creation. But as you said, it is quite interesting at the moment that there is a diverse direction from where the live coding scene is kind of like comes up, like from programmers, hackers, people who would maybe be also more affiliated with the demo scene. And on the other hand, like contemporary musicians and composers who maybe, you know, like are also using Maximus P and other software for computer music or live electronics already for a long time, but then finally understand that this composition process can be put on the stage and it can become this more direct, that the music creation process can be more direct and on stage.
This really sounds like quite a huge span. So Gia, I said you studied composition. So I am asking myself, what brought you to live coding?
Well, that's a funny story. While I was studying composition in Karlsruhe, and I saw this department called the Institute of Music Informatics and Musicology, and I checked the courses, and it's all about programming, and it just attracted me a lot, and I sneak to the class always, and then I saw people doing stuff that I've never seen before, and I am always a bit attracted to mathematics and logic, a bit of programming. After my composition study here, I just formally started my music informatics study. Yes.
Our viewers most certainly know composition and they might know improvisation. So where would you locate your live coding practice between composition and improvisation?
This is a very good question. I think myself, I don't want to first put myself, okay, now I'm in the middle of composition and improvisation, although maybe it is really the case. But I think I have each performance I want to do something else. I always want to try some new stuff, and I've already done something like I first developed my own instrument or the concept of what I want to do first offline. Then I just open or how to say. I take the instrument with me, but I interact with this instrument with code. This is probably the other aspect I want to add to what Patrick just said about live coding. The interaction, how to interact with machine and computer, with code as language, as formulation, or as number changing sometimes. This is particularly interesting for me. And as I mentioned, sometimes I just developed an instrument offline, then I bring it on the stage and I interacted with code. That's also a type of live coding. And I also do something completely different, that so to say, from scratch. But even from scratch, I oftentimes also have thinking through, okay, what would I do, but not very exactly. So I still have the room of improvisation, like you say.
This sounds like a huge playground for sonic artists. So I'm now very curious how it actually sounds and looks like. So today you brought a piece with you. So we have now the opportunity to listen and to see such a performance. And this performance you did collaboratively. So maybe you would like to say a few words about this.
This piece is this is not a piece. It's just more of a setup for a type of performance that I and Li Song in London, musician, improvised musician and software engineer, and Tan Shuoxing, who's studying in Düsseldorf and epistemic media, and so we get to know each other during the pandemic on social media because we all use Super Collider. So we have a lot to exchange. Then we start to meet up on the web. Then we talk about what we're interested in, and we found a lot in common. Of course, we are also very different, but we all tend to try to explore maybe what can we do with Super Collider, but collaboratively, but not just like I play violin, you play drum, and you play guitar, but maybe more in the nature of algorithm. So then Patrick have developed this tool for especially for this case. I think it suits very well. It's called OIC Junction, which we use for our performance. So we basically first build up a concept. Maybe this we can talk later, and then we play with it. How to say?
Wow, there are many very interesting aspects in it, what you just said. So I think we will now really listen and watch the piece. And then later we can touch upon a few points. And I have to admit, I have my difficulties with actually saying the title because it's a little bit obscure. So our viewers can then basically just read out the title. So let's please sit and relax and enjoy the show. Hey, thank you very much, Gia, that you brought this piece with you. You mentioned that it's not a piece, but this is the expression I most often relate to. So there were so many things happening which I could not identify immediately. So I think it would be super great if you could say a few things about what did those different lines and numbers of lines represent. You could elaborate a little bit more on the concept behind your work.
Yes, thanks. It's my pleasure. And in this performance, it's interesting that we didn't stuck on just one concept, like one algorithm, but we have different things going on. But in the beginning, we start from the very, very basic thing, like how can we collaborate very close and very algorithmically. And we had this rule of message sending. So the basic rules that we see in the performance, they're numbers, the big numbers, like 0, 1, and 2. They are actually our identity. So I am 0 and Lison is 1 and Shoxing is 2. So a bit like the Markov chain principle, but it's not an analytical point of view, but rather use it. We change the direction that we are the node, and we could decide on the fly which where this chain go further. So you can imagine as a basic rules that, okay, it's my turn, I need to start. I throw a dice, then I see if it's 0 or 1 or 2. If I then according to this result, I need to send this message to the person. But of course, we don't just throwing dice. We basically programming a lot of algorithm to organize this sometimes these possibilities. For example, it would be a sequence. The first go to me, then go to this person, then go to this person. And another important thing is the time, because music is about time and in the time. So we also write algorithm to say how long do we wait before I send the next message. So one of the aspect is this message sending chains on the top of the screen that we heard with sine and noise, sine wave and noise. And second perspective is this long lines we see, like this very drawny sine waves. That we have another way of collaboration. Basically, we are just a sine wave trail, and each one control a sine wave. And there are a lot of possibilities to play with that. Especially when we come to a very narrow frequency band, and we create this beating that we could hear, and also we place ourselves in the position that I'm in the left, Lison in the middle, and Shoxing's on the right. So we also have this spatial effect of this beating, and so in this performance we also chat, like publicly. Also, if we would have encountered some problem, we would also communicate directly through the screen, and to be open to be traditional live coder.
This sounds super interesting. I'm under the impression that your approach towards live coding is heavily conceptualized.
Maybe you could say that, yes.
So one could really talk quite a lot with you, and one would probably identify more and more relevant aspects of your works. So I was enthusiastic about the piece immediately, and you mentioned that music is about time, and here you obviously have such a strong impact also of space, because it's also a networked performance. So I think it's very relevant also to say that you did not really stream audio to each other, or did you? Or did you basically send the codes, which would then materialize in the computer of each participant of the performance? How did you do it?
Exactly. This is because we've never meet, we three, never meet in a room and perform really acoustically together. But if we do that, we wouldn't need this algorithm to reinterpret what others are doing, because we have our own machine. We just need to connect to each other and tell the algorithm what to do. But now, how to have this interaction or have this feeling that we are performing together, but we still have our own identity. So we have the split of space, even we're just using our headphones. And also we need to tell our program, our algorithm, to always capture the other message and play it for each of us. Yes.
Thank you very much for elaborating a little bit more. So I'm wondering now, I mean, we learned that live coding take many different shapes and forms. So I think live coding can then probably look and sound completely different. So Patrick, I know that you are a member of the virtual research group of the On the Fly project. And I expect you to discuss there also the latest developments and anticipate some future developments and stuff like that. So what do you expect to happen in the domain of live coding in the next time?
Oh, looking into the future. I mean, if we first go a step back to the past, I guess this is the more interesting point, is that years ago, live coding seemed to me like a much more purist discipline. Like there was this idea, okay, you will be on the stage, you have the empty document, you type your code, it will be projected, and this is the performance. And you're in control of everything, or not in control, because not being in control is actually an important part about algorithmic creation for me, and about live coding in general, that you not always know what will happen and you just go with it. This is the great thing. Like I'm not interested in things that I know what will happen. Like why do it anyways, kind of. Yeah, but it's over the years, and also I expect this for the future. Much more disciplines came to live coding, and much more, many more different approaches, like machine learning and artificial intelligence is now largely discussed in the scene to kind of first of all to incorporate and see what will happen, but also to be an assistant to the live coder, because as we discussed before, live coding happens in time, and we want to do like interesting and complex things in this time, but we don't want to bore the audience developing basically something complex and interesting in 20 minutes. And machine learning and artificial intelligence can actually help, because we can kind of like train it so that the system already has a complex response, and then this dialogue with the neural network or with some machine learning system is actually what we code. Like not so much anymore writing the algorithm or like writing the pizza recipe, but maybe, you know, calling the pizza guy and like having a discussion on how the pizza should be, and then hoping that it will come out in a good way. Maybe this is a bit cheesy, bit cheesy analogy, but maybe quite fitting.
Okay, so sounds super interesting. So there are many different developments going on. So we can expect many more things to arise from the live coding scene as it connects with other scenes, new technologies. Okay, so I'm very enthusiastic about this. Patrick, you brought another piece from two of your students, right?
Yes.
So this is Samarotto and Daniel Höpfner.
Yes, Michele Samarotto and Daniel Höpfner. Yes, it's an excerpt from a performance that was also streamed to Ludmila in Slovenia, also as part of the On the Fly project. And they are also doing a collaborative live coding performance where Michele is live coding visuals with a programming language called GLSL. So it is a shader language. Code is directly executed on the graphics card. And Daniel is live coding sound in Super Collider. And the interesting part about their performance is that the visuals, so in the end, the image or animation is also just a bunch of numbers or a bunch of data. And the visuals are directly then read by Super Collider, and again, they are directly played back more or less in a naive sense with a technique called wave terrain synthesis. This is it, wave terrain synthesis. And so they basically are playing one instrument because like there can't be sound without the visuals. And so it is as if they're like just standing on two sides of this one big instrument, but because the sound directly comes from the visuals, it has a very strong like audiovisual coupling. So this is a very exciting like play field for me also, because you have like collaboration, there is a tight coupling, so there is a the collaboration is a necessity here really, and you have the coupling, and this is of course what is fun for audiovisual performances often.
All right, then let's check out the excerpt of the untitled AV by Michele Samarotto and Daniel Höpfner. Thank you for bringing this excerpt of the untitled AV. So I think it's now very clear that live coding can really take so many different forms, and this is very interesting. So I'm very enthusiastic now to experience more in this domain, and I will dive a little bit deeper into the matter during the next months, and I will, we will always share the news of the on-the-fly project. The project itself, it will run until April 2022. So I also think the three of us, we will have many more encounters, be it in the digital or then hopefully also in the analog domain. So I thank you for being present and for taking the time to elaborating a little bit more on your work as well as on the field of live coding. So with this, I would like to conclude the 4th edition of #HerzLab. And I hope that you will also tune in August. And I wish you a very good evening, or better, a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.